Good. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is not Christian, so I'm replacing him today, and we're gonna have an awesome time together. Hopefully, please drop your comments in the chat. If anybody can let me know, is the audio working? Is everything's fine with microphones and stuff like that? Because I'm filming on 3 different devices, so just want to make sure that. The audio is good because from time to time it's being less than perfect. But let's wait for a few seconds just to make sure the audio is good. If anybody can drop me a comment, and then we're gonna start the party. All right, Christian is off today. Probably gonna come in a little later. So today you guys are stuck with me. I'm sorry if I'm not watching at the camera directly, because again, I got like 3 different cameras eyeballing me, and that does not feel very comfortable. All right, so let's just go through some questions that I actually collected online. And by the way, drop your questions in the comments below. I'll try to not miss them and answer them online as the time goes on. All right. First question: what's the real first step someone should take before becoming an owner operator? Well, you obviously need to know where your credit stands to begin with, because you want to know the options that you have. Um, Obviously, you gotta understand how insurance works. You need to know your plan, what you're actually going to be doing with that truck, because that's very important. A lot of times we see people undecided, so we pretty much buy a truck without having any idea uh, what we actually going to do, and that's how chaos and destruction starts. All right, you obviously got to make sure that you have some money, because that's important. Most people that's going to go out of business are going to go out of business uh, because we're going to run out of operating cash. Um, and you need to know yourself. So, do you have what it takes to be an owner operator? Because when you're a driver, a lot of times company tells you what to do, what not to do, when it's time to go, when it's time to go home. You always kind of like, the only thing you monitoring really is your home time. Uh, you're trying to get more of that, and company probably pushes you a little bit away from that. But once you become an owner operator, most companies can't really push you. You're an owner operator. That's your business. That's your show. So you can do whatever you want to do. And yeah, what's up, Christian? I see you watching. Good stuff. All right. You want to know if you can handle the being an owner operator. If you have self control to stay on the road as much as you really need to stay on the road to keep that business functional and running. Uh, that's a few things that you need to consider. Obviously, credit to begin with, important, because that will depend on what kind of truck you can get. And sometimes, if you don't have enough credit to get a good, solid owner operator's truck, good morning, Douglas. If you do not have a credit for a good, solid owner operator's truck, you probably want to wait a little bit, until things gonna get better. Fix your credit, save more money, because you do not want to buy some beat up truck that's gonna potentially take you out of business. Unfortunately, we've seen those quite often. All right. How much money should I save before I buy my first truck? Well, that's a big one, and most of the people online are gonna scare you with that, because if you're gonna talk to average owner operator, or average driver, I may say, because a lot of people out there with opinions, usually the loudest opinions, are drivers that never been an owner operator. We want to tell you how great it is to be a driver and how bad it sucks to be an owner operator. Uh, and then uh, and then you want to the other people that's gonna have loudest opinions are gonna be the failed owner operators that's already out of business. We no longer have a truck, and we're done. So we just want to share their misery with you. Um, in reality, I would say average person gonna probably tell you this: you're gonna need $25,000 for a engine overhaul. You're gonna need about $10,000 for transmission. You wanna need another $10,000 for something else. That's $45,000. A lot of owner operators don't have that, especially to start with. And if you think about it, if that was plus you obviously have to down payment, the plates, like the whole 9 yards. None of that is real, because how many owner operators there would be if that was the case? If you need $45,000 outside the purchase of your truck to start the business, I would say there would be no owner operators. So in reality, if you get the right truck, now again, I already talked many times about what is the right truck for owner operator, especially for a first time owner operator. It's the best truck that you can afford, with around 400,000 miles, or ideally a little less. More depends how much more, 450 maybe. 500, I say you're really pushing it, because you want to have a reserve. I would say, what's a reserve on the track? About 750, 800,000 miles. That should be no major breakdowns, just a regular maintenance, minor breakdowns, and so on. Nothing that's going to put you out of business. And here we go. So most trucks that you're gonna buy in like 300 to 400,000 mile range are gonna give you plenty of meat on that bone uh, to start up your business and take it from there. Eventually, you're gonna have to make some decisions, because that truck is gonna age. It's gonna have too many miles. It's gonna have too much problems. But if you're an owner operator, not a mechanic, unless you're very mechanically inclined, then you do you. I can't advise you, because it's going to be, you know better about trucks than me. Christian is asking, do you think buying the truck is hardest part? I think most first time owner operators, we think that buying a truck, it is the hardest part. In my opinion, that's just the beginning. The hardest part for me was keep taking the beating and keep going for more. That was the hardest part for me personally. When I went from being a driver to owner operator, that was truly the hardest part. At the beginning, I talked about it on multiple podcasts. At the beginning, I was simply afraid, and that pushed me forward. that was the fuel I needed, being afraid to fail, to keep going. And then all my problems really started when I got comfortable, and then the other set of problems, or actually escalation of problems, started when I got comfortable and my truck got older. So that's when it really took off the wrong way. But this is why I'm talking about this right now, so you guys don't do the same mistakes. I didn't deal with those problems when I bought a second truck, third truck, and so on. So I used my personal, experience and experience of other people that had some tough times, to learn from it, and never dealt with any of those problems with any other truck than my first truck. All right, so going back to the question, because I'm already in the green fields. How much money do you need? Okay, let's be realistic. Let's say you get a truck. You can probably get a truck for about, I don't know, 3,500 to 6,500 down currently at the Lone Mountain. A lot of our guys, we get trucks right there. This is why I mentioned them. We are not paid or really promoting them. The only thing is, we know a lot of people go to Lone Mountain to get a first truck because we make it possible. And another thing is, we make it budget friendly because the down payment is low and the monthly payment are always going to be under $2,000. A lot of times, a lot less than $2,000. We're talking like 13, 14, 15, 1,600 bucks. And if we want to, if the truck is a little bit too expensive to keep that down payment low and to keep the payment low, we just do more months. And that way, you're still in this very, very good owner operator financial bubble to be able to absorb. Do you have to put down payment always? Yes and no. So, yes, for anybody watching this show. No, for anybody who already have a running fleet, and we obviously not watching this video. So, because we have nothing to learn here, really. Because once you get to a fleet, once you finance, I don't know, like 5 new trucks, eventually you start getting trucks without any down payments. Same thing with trailers, same thing with everything else. Once you pass a certain threshold, then you in a good shape. Good morning, Sam Waters. What's up, David? Thanks for coming over. I really need that. All right, so David says yes, unless you have a great credit. Yeah, absolutely. And it not necessarily have to be a great credit. It just have to have a history of you being able to pay for your trucks. And a lot of times you establish that with banks what you do business with, or with truck dealers, and they're going to use, or manufacturers as well. All right. David is already at the 4th cup of coffee. I was going to say something, but I'm just going to shut the fuck up for now, because good old times. Good old times, David. Can't talk about that in public, man. All right. So going back to the money needed. So 35 to 6,500 bucks to get a truck. Then use other people's money, such as Voyager, lease on, use company's fuel card, use company's fuel card discounts, use company's plate program. And this is why everything else becomes important, because, for example, if you are using company's plate program, but you are undecided, if you do not know what kind of trucking business you really want to start building, you will be wasting a lot of money on the plates. Because I know for a fact, due to turnover, simply to turnover, because owner operators are always going to be chasing the grass that's greener on the other side and so on. Um, a lot of owner operators pay for 10 plates a year. We're talking like $20,000 wasted. This is why it's very important. If you're down to do a drive-in work, give us a call, 863-342-5171, especially if you're Florida based, or you gotta know which direction you're going. Because if you're gonna start jumping around while you are getting on other people's resources for your business, that's gonna start costing you more than actually benefiting you. So that's very important. You have to make that decision. What are you going to do, and what kind of business you are going to run? All right, and then you probably need a couple $1,000 for just general expenses. Maybe I usually say it takes about $4,000 to get a good, solid owner-operator truck up to your standards. I hope your standards are high. And then, and again, it doesn't have to happen before you hit the road. I'm just telling you, in the first 2 months, expect to spend $4,000 to get the truck up to the speed, because there are going to be some lights that's going to fire up because the truck was sitting at the dealership for 6 months or so on, or maybe even longer these days. You're gonna need to eliminate all these problems, and you're not necessarily gonna be able to use dealer's warranty to do it, because if you gotta take your truck to the dealer for a stupid light that needs to be reset, or the sensor needs to be swapped, you're already losing. You're already losing. All right. Again, why are you losing? Because you are wasting your time. You don't go to dealer for things like that. You just fix it and move on, because for you to fix it, it's gonna take, I don't know, 1 day tops. If you're gonna take it to the dealer, expect that truck to sit there for 2 weeks. Week if you're lucky. So you gotta think about that. When you first started buying equipment, did we ask you for business plan or letter of intent? Man, it was so long ago that I don't even remember. I'm pretty sure letter of intent was a thing all the time. Business plan? No, nobody asked me for a business plan. We probably asked me like, what am I planning to do? But letter of intent kind of already explains that. And that's it. So that was pretty easy. And then you want to have, I don't know, $2,000-3,000 on top of that. So down payment, $4,000 plan to spend in the next 2 months. $2,000-3,000 cash on hand. And if you have a credit card or two, you're gonna be in good shape. So all that, you must have $45,000 to get into this business. Throw it away. It's good to have. Everybody wishes to have it. Realistically, I'm telling you, nobody freaking does. So don't hold yourself back, but be reasonable. Because once you get a truck, you're pushing against time. So if you don't have those $45,000 and you beating around the bush, delaying everything, eventually it's gonna catch up with you, and it's going to be very, very costly and very, very painful. So you got some options. You either need to have less cash, but compensated with a very, very strong work ethic, or more cash and then you do as you wish. But usually people that have a work ethic are going to be the ones with the most cash in the pockets to begin with, right? So I think that's about reasonable. Penrose says leverage is everything. This is how I'm getting my own trailer. And at the end of this week, carrier matters though. 100%. Yes. Leverage is everything. It's what you have. If you have enough money to say no to bad interest rate, man, good for you. Or if you have enough credit to pick and choose the interest rate, great. That's the way to do it. All right, let's carry on. What are the hidden costs new owner operators always overlook? Well, it's very expensive to fix a truck, so you always have to have a cash flow. I would say the biggest thing that owner operators overlook is we lose a sight of cash flow and start focusing on the rate per mile and stick to focusing to the rate per mile strictly. And that's how it goes off the rails, because that's a straight way out of this business. Tolls, scales, parking, those things you need to consider, but a lot of that is operational expenses. So if your work ethic is there, you're not gonna really feel that a lot. ELD, subscriptions and permits. If you're leasing onto the carrier, you really don't need that. Taxes. Yeah, that's a good one. Taxes actually important. So you need to plan for it. You're no longer a driver. You're no longer W2, W9, whatever that thing is. You are 2290. So here we go. If you are 1099, no, 2290, what did I just say? It's a heavy highway vehicle use tax. But you're 1099, so you get paid based on the gross, and you do your own taxes. This is why it's very, very important to keep your receipts for repairs. You want to keep the tax guy that does the trucking companies, because your average tax guy is not going to know the trucking deductions as well as somebody that does taxes for truckers. Other than that, just try to use other people money, and I'm not saying that in an ugly way. I'm saying that use other people's money. So lease onto the company, use their fuel card, use their fuel card discounts, use their plate program. But for all these things, for you to be able to effectively use, you have to know what you want to do, and you have to always remember why you came into trucking for. All right. David says, when I first started equipment, I guess buying equipment, I did what anyone broker AF does. I went and bought myself old lots of miles truck. Yep. And again, that depends on the credit. And I'm just curious, how did that go with that specific truck? But sometimes, if you have a work ethic, I actually seen many people buying an older truck. Again, not a project truck. There is a big difference between older truck and project truck. Buying an older truck, but we start compensating on day one. As a matter of fact, hour one as an owner operator with their work ethic and cash flow. Because we know if average owner operator who is buying 400,000 miler, has a little bit of wiggle room before that truck runs out of resources. If you buying a truck that already has 650,000 miles, 700,000 miles, man, you can't waste an hour. It's time for you to hit the road. You gotta know what you're doing, and you gotta start making as much money as you can immediately, because you're probably gonna have to start spending a lot of money on that truck, or use that truck as a takeoff ramp, and then get yourself in a different truck that's gonna give you a little bit more of leverage. All right. Ernest says the cost of ownership on a truck and all the other expenses that come with that has a lot to do with rate per mile. You can't sell yourself short, because everyone in the trucking business let's see, want to make money off the truck, and the last guy that gets a piece of pie is owner operator. This is why the industry is where it's at. Um, yes and no. Yes, because you kind of right, but it cannot be your biggest focus. If I would say, if you need to choose what's the biggest, cash flow is much bigger than rate per mile, because the the people that make the most per mile are usually broke, because it's just not enough miles. You got to focus on how much money you generate, how much money you need, how much money you need to spend for your bills every month. The biggest thing is not, if I run $10 a mile, but I don't make enough miles to pay my bills, I'm out of business. And if I'm running, let's say, at $2 a mile, but I run enough to pay all my bills and more, I'm gonna be in good shape. I think that's a very, very painful lesson I learned about halfway through my career, when I got comfortable, and when I start looking into rate per mile, and just hallucinating on that a little bit. um Almost cost me the business. And then I changed into, it doesn't matter who pays what, I need to make enough plus. And that's when everything changed. So I would say, yeah, if you're running for a freaking I don't know, Swift, dollar a mile, or like 90 cents per mile still, plus fuel surcharge, totaling, I don't know, $1.20, $1.30, yeah, that's not a good business. But if you run in the spot market right now, your average is going to be over $2. If you run where your dispatcher is telling you to go, is that mission impossible in trucking? No. As long as you make enough miles, you're gonna be in good shape. And look, for example, any guy living and running Florida only is gonna make a lot more per mile, even in a crappy state like Florida with rates. Um, we're gonna make a lot per mile in comparison to OTR guy, but OTR guy is still going to make more money at the end of the day every single time. So hopefully that explains that. So yeah, everybody wants a piece, and everybody wants a piece of everyone. As an owner operator, Ernie, you may feel that everybody wants a piece of you. As a owner operator fleet uh, service provider, I would say, trucking company, we feel different ways. We feel, for example, now DAT wants more, the insurance wants more, the interest rates want more. Everybody wants more. The stupid phone company for office phones wants more. Everybody wants a piece of everyone's money. For example, DAT. I don't know what we're advertising right now. Let me look it up real quick. Okay. DAT 360 cost for all right. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Just I don't know, but it used to be it used to start like at I don't know, $50, and then went to like 150 for a upper tier and so something like that. But right now, our cost is I don't know, $700 per seat. You know why? Because we say obviously DT is the biggest and best. I wish there was a little bit more competition. Internet truck stop is nowhere near, but it gets better by the day. We say, oh, you want to book those great paying loads? That's the way to go. And I'm like, show me the customer, show me the broker that's gonna ask me which DAT option do you use? Oh, you use that $700 option? All right, I'm gonna pay you $5 per mile now. When did that happen to anybody ever? Never. To nobody. So everybody just everybody wants to put a hand in a cookie jar. Carriers, I would say we feel the same way because, for example, as a carriers, right? We buy trailers. We buy trailers. We pay for all kinds of services. We keep the lights on. We pay people salary, dispatchers, safety, everybody else. And I don't want to sound like I'm bitching, but what do we get in return? Just think about it, right? You would say, from the owner operator perspective, a lot of free money. Well, 25% of zero is zero, like Christian likes to say. And as an owner operator, the best thing about being owner operator, I would say, at least that was for me. I can just tell you my experience, and you have to live your own. I knew that nobody can decide how much I'm gonna make, because if I want to make more, I can just run more, and I can compensate. Let's say we're a 100% owner operator company, and the owner operator just stays home. How much money do we make of that? We actually lose money on that because we still pay insurance. We still have him a trailer available just because he's on the list, which costs money. Then the trailer needs insurance too. Then I need to have a dispatcher in the seat at any given moment whenever that guy decides to hit the road. And I'm paying for all of that. And I cannot even tell the owner operator, yo, bro, it's time to hit the road. I can tell him, but at the end of the day, that's owner operator's decision to hit the road or to stay home. And hopefully, like I'm not trying to bitch. I'm just saying, Ernie, everybody, everybody is looking at their own situation. So if you think that everybody is getting rich of you, you know what? Sometimes I have the same feeling. I have a feeling that everybody is getting rich off me. And I'm sure brokers, we have the same feeling. So my suggestion would be this. Let's stop counting other people's money and let's start making our own money. So, for example, our dispatchers are paid based on the owner operator's revenue, right? So every time I pay large amounts of money to the good dispatcher who knows what he's doing, I'm not crying that I'm paying too much. I know he earned every penny of that. So the more I'm paying, the more my owner operators made, and the more I made. But if I'm paying less, let's say, some startup dispatcher that's still in training or whatnot, even if I'm paying just a little bit, that dispatcher is costing us more money than he's making. Right, Ernie says this has nothing to do with you guys. This has to do with industry, how it has treated the independent contractors and drivers and everything, as we all sacrifice so much to be away from the family that hardly nobody wants to do it anymore. I agree. I agree 100%. Thanks. I appreciate it's not against us, Ernie. I'm just saying that it's not just the industry. I wish it was just the industry, because then we can just change and we all can do better and we can be in better position. Unfortunately, fortunately, it's just not the perfect times right now for trucking, but fortunately, we are in a free market economics. And I can guarantee you one thing. If you would get government to regulate things like freight prices, I can guarantee you we would get the shorter end of the stick. We, meaning you and me, from carrier down, we would all get a shorter end of the stick. Not more, we would get less. Because people on the other side, brokers, customers, manufacturers, we have pockets much deeper than ours. We got connections much better than ours. So at the end of the day, I hate to say that, but we are sort of deplorable. You know, sucks to be us. However, do I know any other business that you can just, like, for example, myself, right? I came to America when I was like, what, 21 years old, some shit like that, maybe 20. My English was yes, no, I have a dog. Now I know a few more words than that. Oh, I knew also fuck you. Sorry, YouTube. Um, so yes, no, I have a dog, fuck you. That's all. And look at me now. I think I'm doing all right. I know a lot of people in the comment section always like talk shit and say, hey, what did this guy say? And stuff like that. But I know that just to piss me off. Nothing more than that. And I got a CDL, started driving a truck, then bought a truck. And look at me. Does it look like I'm fucking too skinny? I don't think it looks like that. As a matter of fact, like I'm looking a little bit at the camera right now, and I'm not quite liking what I'm seeing. So how did it get here? Trucking. Look at the average trucker. Does average trucker look a little bit too skinny and hungry for you? Probably not. So that means it's not that bad. I still believe that trucking, and until automation replaces us, which I don't know, hopefully it's not going to happen very soon, but I think it's getting closer and closer. I'd say for the at least next 5 years, if I had to start from scratch today, I would jump in the truck because I don't know anything else. I'm trucker for life. That's what I do. All right, let's carry on. Let me see what else we got. No. Okay, Christian says there is always a cost to do business. It's a matter of who pays for it. Exactly. So count your own money, be self-sustainable, and you're gonna be in good shape. That's all. You don't have to worry about the feelings, worry about your bills, about your cash flow, and remember one thing: you gotta make enough plus. That's the only requirement, no matter what it takes. And when I was an owner operator and when I started making mistakes, man, I almost lost everything because of the mindset that I thought that everybody is taking advantage of me. Everybody wants a cut on me. Man, I truly, truly felt that. But it just started going to shit. And the only time that changed was when I told to myself, shut the fuck up, stop complaining, start counting your own money instead of counting other people's money, and do what's good for you. Because as a owner operator, no matter how bad it is, at least you can compensate with work ethic. The dude like me, I can beg the dude like you to compensate the work ethic. All right. Melvin says a lot of times when the dispatcher calls and offers a load, you don't have time to calculate or consider, or you driving, or it's late in the day. So partner with a carrier dispatcher who has your back. 100% agree. That's one of the most important things. And that is the easiest way for dispatcher to get fired here at Voyager immediately. Because one thing that we always push, every time dispatcher calls owner operator, we must have a solid, good information. We must have a real mileage. We must have real money, real details about the loads. It cannot be, you can rely on the broker and ask the broker, hey, how much per mile does that pay? Or how many miles? You're always going to get the short miles. So as a dispatcher, if you're giving your driver now the mileage that the broker gave you, you bullshitting your owner operator. So next time your owner operator in a tough spot and you calling him to offer a load and he's telling you, I need to think about it, or wait until I get to the shipper, I need to run the mileage. You can't even blame the dude because the dude is just reacting to your piss poor dispatching. Because if you lied to the guy, maybe not intentionally, but if you lie to the guy with a mileage or low details or anything else because your bad work ethics as a dispatcher, why are you expecting the owner operator now to actually, believe you and take the load quickly? Hell no. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't suggest anybody to do it. So if your dispatcher is beating around the bush, teach them a lesson. If you list on to Voyager and you have a dispatcher like that, make sure that we know about it because that dispatcher does not need to be here. All right, let's see. All right, what else we got? Penrose is having a good time. Not sure if he's crying or laughing. Some Motors. Why did you decide not to have company drivers? Because of bitching? No. I'm kidding. Not because of bitching. I love drivers. When I was an owner operator, I felt just like you said that everybody is taking advantage of me until I actually learned that it's not that way. And what I thought is missing in this industry was transparency for owner operators because I somehow felt that I'm always being lied to, that I'm always getting a shorter end of a stick, that I never seen a transparent contract. I never seen, for the most part, the company that's not chopping off rates. And I decided, you know what? Let's do something different. This is why our split where it's at, because there is no other options to make money. It has to be there. If you're looking at let's say there are some carriers that advertise 90-10 split. Well, sitting in my seat, I know for a fact that if that's a true split, we're stealing money from you because there is no way in this planet of ours that we make enough money to pay for insurance, for trailers, for good dispatching, for safety, for keeping lights on. There is no way in the world. So there are either a bunch of different hidden fees, or we're cutting the rates and we're lying to you. So this is why we decided, okay, let's make it simple. Let's charge what we need to run business and nothing else. This is why our settlements are super transparent. I remember my first settlements as an owner operator. Man, you need to go to college for fucking that, just to read your own stupid settlement. I remember my first settlement was 5,000 miles, and then I got paid for like 3,000 miles. And then I went to dispatcher and I'm like, what is this? You know what the answer I got? He said it's 8 miles. I'm not freaking flying a plane, I'm driving a truck. So this is why we decided not to have company trucks, because again, conflict of interest. Every time I was an owner operator, I felt that if the company has company trucks, we get a better treatment, we get better loads, we get dispatched first, and so on. And even sometimes when that wasn't the case, that feeling was still there. So we decided, let's cut all the conflict of interest. Let's cut all the shenanigans out of this business. Let's keep it 100% transparent, just like I always wanted to be treated as an owner operator. And that's what we created. I know some people, we don't think that way, but hey, that's not my truth. That's the truth. All right, let me see. Where's my mouse? Here. All right. All right, David bounced. He needs to attend his driver. That's very nice of you, David. Drivers are important. We do not have company trucks, so we do not have those problems. But sometimes we have to attend our own operators. All right. Let's see. Ernest says most important thing for everyone getting into it is to get the most economical truck with the best miles per gallon possible, because that's what is going to make you or break you. That I agree 100%, 200%. Get the best truck that you can afford. Pay attention to your fuel mileage. Man, like anytime I see owner operator in distress financially, when I ask what fuel mileage do you get, we either don't know or we almost feel offended by it. And if we look into the fuel mileage, for the most part, it sucks. We're talking like I've had some owner operators that run 3-4 miles per gallon, which is suicidal for trucking. And nobody wants to talk about it. Every time I brought it up, I lost that argument because nobody wants to know the truth. Okay, let me see what else. Because it's cheaper to have independent contractors, that's obvious. Yes and no. You're talking about top tier owner operators? Yes. If you're talking about average owner operator, no, I would disagree, because I know it's not going to be very popular opinion, but I can tell one thing. There are quite a few owner operators out there that companies are losing money on. So as an owner operator, I remember I used to think, as long as I run, you're making money. No, that's not the case. Because if you were pulling a $1,000 a month trailer, I mean, I'm talking about the cost of trailer plus insurance plus maintenance, right? And your insurance part is another, let's say, $1,000 per month. So unless you are making $8,000 gross every single month, we break even. And I'm not gonna talk shit against myself, but man, a lot of owner operators don't make that. Not because the money is not there, Not because the dispatcher is not at work, not because the trailer is not available, not because of the insurance not available. No, because we just lost. We have a very, very wrong understanding about the trucking business. And I feel their pain. I've been in those shoes. I was lost too. But at the end of the day, the only way out of that is to accept the reality, start counting your own money instead of other people's money, and make what you need and more, whatever it takes. I'm talking whatever it takes, not, you know, oh, I would make this money if the world turned the other way. No, 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 no. No matter what, if the rates suck, I'll run more to compensate for the crappy rates. And I know that's counterintuitive. I know a lot of people would hate on me saying, oh, that's you, the guy that's fucking pulling the cheap freight. No, I'm probably pulling freight that pays more than whatever company you run for. Um, because we take our dispatching very aggressive. But yeah, so here we go. I say start counting your own money, make whatever it takes, plus, and whatever it takes to do it, do it. Because even if you feel it's a little counterintuitive to take that less paying load, but stay in business, stay alive, and actually survive long enough to buy that second truck, to buy that third truck, to start your trucking company, that's the cost. This is why I said the most difficult part for me to learn was to take a beating and keep coming back for more. Because a lot of owner operators, as soon as we, get that bad week or whatnot, like we bounce, we quit. And not just like we quit the carrier, we quit as owner operators. And I saw this short video on YouTube where the guy says, today is a very bad day. Tomorrow is going to be even worse. Day after tomorrow is going to be the best day you ever had in your life. Most people will quit tomorrow. And there is nothing more truthful when it comes down to your business. It doesn't matter how much it sucks to be an owner operator some days. Staying in business is more important than those couple pennies extra that you're making, because it's a long-term game. It's not something that you can just flip in days or weeks. All right. Ernest says a new truck costs $200,000. You can't afford to pay and run business with all your fixed costs and still play around with laws that want to pay under 250 miles. I agree. For owner operator, I 100% agree, because it is a long-term game. Like, this is like economics 101. Like, you buying that truck, 200,000. You have to calculate everything. Like, for example, remember just like 5 minutes ago, I was bitching about the trailer costing $1,000 a month. But did you hear me bitching when I sold that trailer once and got to 5 years old age for $17,000? You haven't heard me bitching about that, right? So it's the same thing with trucks. Like, I would agree with you. Like, I would not, even right now, if I had to start from the scratch, I would not buy a $200,000 truck. Most likely, I don't know, but most likely, I would buy 300,000 to 400,000 mile truck for the best truck that I can get, for the best price that I can get it for, and that would be my new start. However, the carriers, they can actually It's tough, but we can afford it. Most carriers with company trucks that was able to have their trucks seated with drivers are still in business. That only means that even if we don't make a lot of profit, or if we don't make a profit at all, at the end of the day, let's just say you buy 50 trucks a year, right? Which means at some point you're not also buying 50 trucks a year, you're also selling 50 trucks a year, 50 used trucks a year. So as long as you can stay in business long enough to when it's a time to sell those trucks, that alone can be your profits. So here we go. All right. Ernest says drivers these days don't take care of their trucks, so we cost the company too much money. Not just these days, man. Like I remember, uh, I was already an owner operator because I was a company driver for only 1 year altogether. But I was an owner operator, and I had a buddy of mine who was a company driver. He was a lifer company driver. He never wanted to get his own truck. He never planned to get his own truck. He just hated the whole idea of having his own truck because of, I guess, responsibility and that feeling when eventually you're gonna have to take some beating and still carry on, right? And he was telling me the story, man. Like I started with this new carrier, and man, the trucks that they have are so new. But he's like, imagine this: I get into this truck that has only 20,000 miles on it. I get inside the cab, and he's literally, this is how he said, like, he's like, I look up, and the truck is so fucked up that you start questioning, how did the previous driver even fucking got to that point to fuck it up? That's a reality. That's a reality, unfortunately. Work ethic in general is something that's missing these days because on Friday, I think, during the live, Christian and David had a conversation about how back in the day, not every carrier offered fuel program. Not every carrier offered plates. Not every carrier offered trailers. There was a lot of fucking, a lot of different options, but the amount of stuff that carriers are offering today is unmatched. So I think that makes it so much easier to become an owner operator. I'm not talking about economics. I'm not talking about rate per mile. That shit, like, as old as trucking. Like, everything that we talk right now about trucking and the rates, people been talking about it for as long as I'm in trucking, 25 years. People always bitch about trucking. People always bitch about rates. So that's what's up with trucking. Aaron Trulio says exactly. Yeah, that's the fact, man. I can tell you another fucking thing, but I don't want to be like too politically incorrect. I may say, um, we had a kind of a friend. He never drove for us, but he worked for a different company just across the hallway back in the day, and he used to come hang out to us because I guess we just cool people. He was a cool guy, and he was the guy that used to go and recover trucks for the trucking company out of Chicago. Every time the drivers would abandon it or quit on the company or so on. Man, the stories he told me made me truly love the idea that we only work with owner operators, because some of those trucks were really, really, really nasty, I mean, say. Yeah, that's what's up. All right. Are you guys considering getting into flatbed business? No, we do not. If you need a flatbed guy, let me know. Send us a message. We will respond, and I can hook you up with a really, really good flatbed guy uh, that who really knows what he's doing. So just let us know. We can direct you to the right people. The reason we do not do flatbeds is because I believe, the how do we say, the master of all trades is, or like something about like the dude who does everything is not a master of none. And I believe the same thing. I think I used to consider myself as a badass dispatcher. Not anymore though. It's been years since I dispatched. But when I was dispatching, I I dispatched some mixed fleets too. I always knew like that my main fleet is my strongest piece. So for example, if I'm dispatching 10 dry vans and one flatbed, that flatbed probably gonna do all right, but he is not going to do the best the flatbed can do for any given point in time. Because my main focus, I live in a drive-in tunnel, and my goal is to have the best dispatch that drive-in market can offer, the best trailers that drive-in market can offer, the best drivers that drive-in market can offer, and this is how we're gonna get the best dollar per mile the drive-in market can offer. That's our formula. This is how we do it. Sometimes we get lost a little bit here and there, because there is always somebody with ideas and hey, let's do drive-in, let's do flatbed, let's do reefer, let's do this and that. But man, I can't even tell you how many people I've seen going out of business in flatbed business. Well, because at the end of the day, it's not just equipment. It's mostly you. It's what you do and how you position yourself. So if you're a flatbed guy and you position yourself with a strong flatbed people, you're gonna be in good shape. If you're a drive-in guy and you position yourself strong with drive-in people, you're going to be in a good shape. But if you're a flatbed guy and you joining, let's say, Voyager because you think we're cool, first of all, we're not gonna do this service, and we're just gonna direct you to the flatbed people because we're not gonna bullshit you. We're gonna tell you as it is because you're gonna be better off with flatbed people if you're a flatbed guy. I can only tell you one thing: if you're a drive-in guy, Voyager is the place to go. That's pretty much it. All right, guys. Let me see. It's 10:04 a.m. So I think that's enough. Please like, share, subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. Fuck, forgot to ask for the thumbs up. All this time, all these people watching, and I forgot to ask for it. So, guys, if anybody is still watching, give me a thumbs up. Don't just freaking walk away. Like, share, subscribe. Uh, Share it with people that could benefit from this, because a lot of people think that we know what we're doing, but unfortunately a lot of people don't. So here we go. All right, guys. Be safe out there. Drop me a comment in the comment section. I'll be monitoring the comments for the rest of the day today, and tomorrow Christian will be back, and we'll talk to you guys on the next podcast. Take care, guys. All right. Where's the? How do you stop this thing? And now, boom. All